Welcome back, Tribe. Have one here from a new channel. Foreigners Becoming Disappointed in Philippines for Meeting Girls by Chad Forster.
Hey, what's up, guys? I want to talk to you about some misunderstandings about
Foster.
what it's really like in the Philippines when it comes to meeting a Filipina, because I've had a bunch of conversations recently about guys that were kind of disappointed because their expectations weren't met. They found it to be much different than what they thought it was going to be like. Take, for example, a guy that I met about a week ago in Dumaguete. He was telling me that he was in Dumaguete back in 2015, and he said it was so different that wherever he went in town, girls were staring at him, girls were smiling at him. He was like, I was the man. He couldn't go anywhere without getting that kind of attention. And he just felt like, dude, where am I? It was like another universe when it came to, girls being interested in him just because he was a foreigner. Fast forward to now, well, like a week ago when I was chatting with him, and he was like, man, no one notices me at all. Like, no one looks at me. It's just as if I'm any other guy walking around. Like, he just doesn't feel like he's anything unique or special. Basically, that's how it is now in Dumaguete. Now, keep in mind, Dumaguete is one of the more popular areas for foreigners. So if you're hanging out in the downtown area where he has been hanging out, there's a lot of foreigners, and it's kind of been a growing foreigner retirement area and destination for the last few years. So it's no longer a place where there's any kind of wow factor of seeing a foreigner. Now, that same thing applies to Cebu City. Most foreigners go to IT Park, Ayala Mall, like Cebu Business Park. I mean, there's so many foreigners in these areas now, especially even, since a year and 4 months ago when I first came here, there's way more now than there was back then. Same with like BGC in Manila and, other areas in the Philippines. So these kind of areas, you're not going to get.
Same in Romania, by the way, when you come to Bucharest. And a lot of guys will tell you it's not like the 90s anymore. You don't stand out like a sore thumb, and people are well-traveled now. At least in Eastern Europe and, Southeast Asia, poverty is still a big difference. So most people there aren't as well traveled or haven't gone to multiple countries and do come from worse conditions. So you still have a bit of that exotic wow factor to you.
The attention that you might be expecting.
Mm-hmm.
Another guy messaged me not too long ago, and he was like, Chad, man, I'm getting ghosted like left and right. I hopped on one of those dating apps and, start some conversations, and one after another, they stop chatting with me, or I'm making plans with them and then they just disappear. And I've had this happen to me too with, having conversations with girls online. And my thought with that is it's the same thing. There's so many freaking guys that are focused on the Philippines right now. And it's just been in the last year, how many more people are looking to come to the Philippines, looking to meet a Filipina, tired of the crappy dating back home.
It's competition. That's all. That's really what it is. It's competition. It's what I've told you guys and would have been preaching the longest time ever. Get your shit together as a man. Make sure you self-improve. Make sure you get a body that's worth looking at. Obviously, the financial situation has to be there. Doesn't have to be said. But you're going to go and start competing against other men that are retiring as well. It's just natural. And it shouldn't dissuade you in any way. It's just not a handout. And anyways, if you're one of the bottom tier dudes that's like absolutely can't even compete with other men going there, then you would have had bottom tier women anyway. Why would you travel to another country just to get the bottom of the barrel scraps? It makes no sense. You want the best option you could possibly get, which means you yourself have to be the best option that you could possibly be for somebody else, So put in the work, man. There's no getting around putting in the work. Don't think you could just get a passport, a plane ticket, and then your life changes completely. In certain ways, it does. Financially freeing. But if you want a quality woman, if you want one that's a looker or decently attractive, you have to put in the work, dude. You can't negotiate attraction. This is well known. So there's a bunch of dudes that are now catching on, because it's becoming mainstream and everybody gets to see like, wow, everybody's living a great life and look at what all these dudes are doing. And they try to replicate that. And they think that's their ticket out to their hell in the West. Most of the time it is. But there's now a growing proportion of these guys that are heading out there and do absolutely no self-work. They have nothing to offer. They're disgusting, like beer belly, fat, skinny fat, just nasty hygiene. And like they think going overseas, a woman's going to change their life. A woman's going to save them from the loneliness and take care. It's like, dude, the same thing they find disgusting here is what they'll find disgusting there. It's just less delusional. And don't delude yourself as a man thinking that you could just be a complete mess yourself and they will take you for what you are. She loves me for me because I'm foreigner and I got money. Like, don't be that guy. That's the guy that gets disappointed. That's the guy that this guy's probably talking about. Do the due diligence, do the self-work, and you will absolutely reap all the benefits and be much happier for it.
And that's not just US, Canada. It's Australia, UK, all over Europe, Russia, Poland. Like there's so many countries that are, looking at the Philippines as this possible place to find an amazing girl. Just to clarify, it's not anything like dating back home. It's still way better despite all of these things that I'm talking about.
See?
So the main point is I really just want to set expectations right, because I do think a lot of guys come here and they're expecting to just feel something different. They're expecting to get the eyes, to get the stares, to get the smiles. And chances are you're not going to get that in these really, really popular areas. A lot of the girls that are hanging out in these areas are working. They're maybe at call centers, working at the mall, whatever. They see foreigners all the time. It's not a big deal for them. In fact, there's a lot of girls that they don't even like going to Ayala Mall, for example, because there's so many foreigners there. And guys that first come to the Philippines are coming with this like charged energy, like built up, oh my God, I want to get to the Philippines and meet someone. So they show up and they go to these areas.
Thirsty.
And then they go to the mall. And I'm not going to lie, there is cute girls everywhere. There are so many cute Filipinas. It's crazy. So, you go to the mall, you go to Ayala Mall and you see all these cute girls. And so these guys are like, I want one. So they walk up and, a lot of these girls are, I guess, tired of so many foreigners approaching them and asking for their number and stuff. And it's just not the right place to do it. It's funny because when I first came to the Philippines, I made a video at Ayala Mall. I interviewed a few different girls and was asking them about dating. And the funny thing was 2 of them were actually there waiting for their dates. And so the whole video was like, this is the best place to meet Filipinas. And it was all about Ayala Mall. And I don't feel that way now. I think it's even changed since when I made that video. I think it's changed a lot. There's just more foreigners and the whole dynamic has changed. Now, let me clarify too. You have to come with the mindset. Like if you're in one of these popular areas, it's not like Filipinas aren't interested in foreigners. It's not some place that's magical where you're just this amazing foreigner. Oh my God, I want you so bad. It's not like that at all. So if you want to meet a girl in IT Park or any of these areas, you can. You just have to be friendly. You have to have a good attitude and you do have to have some confidence, right? So you have to be able to go up and start a conversation. But the cool thing is most Filipinas are just very nice, sweet people. And if you come with a smile and just a genuine attitude and you're not coming with like, I want to get your number, I want to take you out, that is the way to approach most Filipinas. It's just generalization. It doesn't apply to everyone. There are girls that are still going to be quick to want to give you their number, want to go out on a date with you. There are lots of opportunities to date in Cebu, in these popular areas, like way better than back home. To be honest, there are so many things to really deep dive into as far as the personality differences here compared to Western women, the cultural differences, really how to approach it. For example, a lot of girls that might not be interested in you in that first encounter, their thought is a little bit cautious. But if you were to see them again, and then again, and you sort of build that trust, even if this girl is super cute and you're like, she's not going to be interested in me because maybe I'm too average or below average looking or something like that. One of the coolest aspects of the Philippines is that most girls aren't overly worried about the way you look compared to like Western women. And that's pretty awesome. So they are more focused on meeting a guy that is genuine, trustworthy, has a good attitude, provides a sense of security and these aspects. All women want these things. But what's cool about the Philippines is that is by far their main thing. And they're less worried about your looks. They're less worried.
And we have to be brutally honest here. It's because poverty. It's because life's a lot harder there. They're more pragmatic in their search for men, as opposed to the West where, women work as much as men, earn as much as men. So they're able to be pickier. That's what it is. Let's not bullshit here and pretend they're magical unicorns over there and they'll love you for you. The programming is the same everywhere. Once they get money over there and they start working, just as much as the men do. They will become pickier because they're able to. They don't need a man to survive. That's what it is. Don't bullshit yourselves going overseas thinking you're meeting unicorns. They're just genuinely more humble people because of the life that they've lived. And that's really what it is. When you go overseas, they're not spoiled by materialism, by ideologies as much. They're much closer knit with families. They have to be because, that's just the economic situation that they're in. But in general, because of that economic situation, they're just nicer people. And they look at something deeper than money, than the materialism that's like swept the West, where if you don't have a certain name brand on, you're a loser. If you don't earn a certain amount of a year, you're a loser. If you're not this tall so she can have arm candy and show up to her friends, you're a loser. That's looking for all the wrong things. And that's why our divorce statistics, our marriage statistics, our relationship intimacy, explosion of casual sex, that's why all that stuff is trending in the wrong direction, because we're looking for all the wrong things. So in a roundabout way, yes, it's a benefit. It is a positive that they haven't been overtaken by all the ills of capitalism, whatever you want to call it. But make no mistake, dude, it's not simply because kind hearts. There are many men that will tell you they brought their, quote, foreign wives back to the United States. They got a taste of that equality, that gynocentric mentality, and immediately left them and for another dude, got their paperwork, brought their families over, yada, yada, yada. It happens. So understand what you're really getting yourself into. I'm not trying to, rain on anybody's parade, dude, but we're here for the truth.
About your fashion, even if you're just like clean and appropriate, that's good enough. You don't have to have the best fashion. You can dress dorky. You can be a little overweight, have a belly.
And no, see, they're accepting that, but you're going to accept a much lower quality woman than you could have otherwise gotten if you learned how to dress, if you got rid of the belly, if you had some sense, a little bit of charisma and social skills. All this stuff matters, guys, even when you go overseas. Don't take this as a good thing. This is bad. It's bad that you can get away with this stuff. It's bad that you don't have to be the best version of yourself, because at the end of the day, you shortchange yourself, man. Don't think of this as a dubby. I can go and get by with less. No, you've accepted less of yourself in order to get the bare minimum. Some woman overseas, that's the wrong mentality, dude. Always aim for the highest you could possibly get as a man. Always dream bigger. Always expect more. Always work towards the best. Always improve. It's not okay to have a beer gut. It's not okay to dress like shit. It's not okay to keep up with your hygiene. Not keep up with your hygiene. It's not okay to be the bare minimum as a man. And life will repay you with the bare minimum. Keep that mentality. Always progress. And you will get a stunner on your arm. You will get a beautiful family. You will live a financially free life overseas. You will attain all those things, but you have to work towards them. Do not accept bare minimum. Don't accept being mediocre. So that's the one part of this dude's video I don't agree with, telling men that it's okay. It's never okay for a man to be mediocre.
Be below average looking. You can be balding. Like these things compared to the West, it's way different. And that's just really, really cool. And age, I mean, obviously, you hear a lot about that, the whole age thing. Girls here aren't super worried about that if there's a big age gap. And a lot of girls like that. They want a guy who is more mature. And that's where the age thing comes in for these girls, that it provides them with that feeling of security, trustworthiness. A younger guy is going to potentially be playing more games or be less faithful and be less emotionally mature. So point of this video, guys, is set your expectations right, especially for these like popular areas. Come with the right attitude. Now, I want to finish the video with how different it is when you start to get away from these popular areas. And if you're looking for that unique attention that I think a lot of guys are anticipating when they come to the Philippines, you have to get out of these areas. And the further you go, the more that dynamic changes, the more attention you get and the more unique you are to the people that you're going to encounter. But they're also going to be cautious of you. They're going to be, unsure of like what your intentions are. And they're also very shy. They're concerned about what people are thinking. So if you're talking to someone in the province, they might be thinking in the back of their head, who's watching? There's a lot of like gossip in the province and stuff like that. So, these are other kinds of challenges when it comes to meeting someone. But that attention that you might be wanting and expecting when you come to the Philippines, that is where you're going to get that kind of attention.
And that's your cue for the traditional guys that are looking to marry. Those are the type of women that you want to marry, not the big city girls. Big city girls are there to have fun, and they're switching out foreigners left and right. The attention he's talking about, the way they move, the way they have to be careful about what the rest of the town thinks, the providential ones living out there that's because you're getting judged. Those social barriers are there in regards to traditional relationships, sleeping around, marriage. Is he a man of God? Taking care of her family, yada, yada, yada. She's expected to be a married woman with a family, and everybody else is going to be judging her for it. So she can't be seen going on dates with dudes just frivolously because she got asked out. It has to be, what's your intention? Marriage, something serious. So if you're a dude looking for fun, stay away from the countryside. You're just going to mess it up for literally everybody. You're going to make her look bad in the eyes of her community, and you're going to be a piece of shit for doing that.
It's going to be off the beaten track. It's going to be out of the way from the comforts of some of these other areas in the Philippines. Don't go to Ayala Mall if you want to get that attention. Take a ferry to Leyte. That's where I'm going next. And then hop on a trike and tell them to drop you off in some random town and then walk around. And then you're going to get crazy attention. You're going to get all eyes on you. So if that's what you want, that's what you have to do. And people are friendly. People are cool, but you have to get out of your comfort zone a little bit. Next video, I think I'm going to talk more about just the intricacies and the dynamic of relationships here because it's so different. I'll give you a little teaser for things that I want to talk about in my next video. Like, for example, we have this thing called dating back in the West, right? We date girls and we go out and we get to know them. If you're meeting a girl, especially from the province or any kind of traditional girl, they don't really date. Filipinas often will jump straight from meeting you even online to feeling comfortable with you and making sure they feel you're genuine. And then bam, lock in, relationship. Let's talk marriage. Let's talk kids, stuff like that. Like, they would be comfortable with all of these conversations right away. Like, there's a really big jump from meeting to serious relationship. And it's different than back home. Girls here have a different mindset about love and a different mindset about, connecting with someone. And I don't feel I really fully know someone until I've spent some time with them in person. But if you spend time with someone in person, you have now jumped into the territory of like, there's expectations of this being a thing, like being a serious relationship where now there's more of a commitment, even though you're just trying to get to know that person. So it's different and you have to learn how to navigate that. And I want to talk more about my thoughts on that in the next video.
That's because dating's useless. If you're going to spend time, invest in somebody, go out with them, yada, yada, get to know, that has to be the intention is we're going to spend the rest of our lives together. Otherwise, what's the point? If you get the point of filtering somebody out is that the time you do spend is for something serious. So before you start to go on dates, before you spend all this time investing in a person, getting to know them, you should already be filtering them out for their intentions, what they want out of life, kids, family. All that needs to be laid out right away. And once that's laid out, you meet the person, you go out a few times, and we already have a clear picture of what we're looking for. So it gets serious right away. There is this situationship going on in the West where you just casually meet someone for a coffee and you talk about absolute bullshit that's not even important to anybody else. And maybe 3, 4, 5 dates in, you start to get, a little bit serious in the conversation about, so what are you looking to do out of life? And like, what do you think about kids? And you get these bullshit non-committal answers of, yeah, I'd like to have kids one day. And it's horseshit, dude. And then you're just sleeping around this entire time. You got a few people in the back pocket that you're sleeping with while meeting this new person to see if they're potential something serious. And then this is literally what dating in the West looks like. She's talking to a few dudes, got 1 or 2 guys that she sleeps with consistently, goes on dates with a new guy that she's looking for something more serious because the other ones are just casual only or won't commit to her. And this entire time you're wasting time when you should have had the answers to all of this from the get-go. That's why dating is a complete trap in the West for people looking for anything serious. It's a waste of time. Let's see what some of the comments say. I'm a white-skinned 5'9" Filipino-American living in Cebu for 30 years. I can tell you from experience that most girls don't notice you, ignore you, even try to avoid you. Women here in Cebu now have a strong, independent woman, don't need no man mentality just like the West. Just enjoy the view, stay single, and try to blend in. I'm retired and live in a popular expat area in another country. I see a repeat of guys that come here, jump right in before they understand how the local game is. It almost always ends badly. When I arrived in the Philippines in 2013, I felt like a celebrity, but now in 2024, I'm just another foreigner. And that's in Mindanao, which is not overpopulated with Farangs. So the video blogger saying it's easy, pickings are all fake. And it's not all fake. It's probably mostly fake. The all or nothing is just a fallacy. Is a sausage fest. One vlogger was saying he could get a hot girl any day of the week when he was selling a PUA course. Later on, he was crying in his own channel saying that he couldn't get a girl and ended up marrying one. Something he said he'd never do, and didn't tell his viewers he was married to her for about a year. Some admit they're supporting half a village or that all they're getting are pros. Again, that's the reality of the situation. And this is why the easy pickings thing comes with an asterisk. If you did the work on yourself and you're wanted by women, yes, you go in there as an expat / foreigner / whatever you want to call yourself, passport bro, it will be easy pickings. You go in there with the bare minimum, did absolutely no work on yourself, you get no attention whatsoever from women in your home country, you are going to struggle as well, and most likely ending up spending time with the quote pros. And that's the reality of the situation, boys. Men don't have an easy ticket anywhere when it comes to women because they're all looking for the same thing, just in varying degrees. However, and this is the side we'll continue to preach until the end of time, going overseas to increase your financial freedom will always be your best move, period. The women are just a cherry on top. Escaping the rat race, not having to work until you're 65, retire, live 5 more years and die, that's the key. That's the dream for every man. That's the whole point of escaping the West, is to get out of the rat race, the cubicle life, the paying most of your damn money on taxes, the rest on bills, and having very little for yourself to actually live. Most people are surviving. Very few live today. How many people go to their deathbeds wishing they would have lived more life? And the answer to that for Westerners is almost all of them regret how much they've had to spend working, how much they had to spend saving up a penny here and there to go on their one vacation every year or few years. You're surviving, my friend. 70% of Americans don't even have like $400 for an emergency. Is that called life? That's living. You're one sick day away from not affording bills. The point of going overseas is to turn that on its head and absolutely be free financially. The due diligence needed on the part of the man individually is how he can achieve that, given his life experience and the skills he's attained so far for remote work. That's an answer I can't give you because our lives are completely different and we learned completely different things and crossed completely different paths. But with the advent of the internet, all the information is available at your fingertips on how to escape, logistically speaking, and be able to survive out there. One of the ones that I read in the comments all the time is English teacher. English teacher. If you're from the West, English speaking country, English, or hell, maybe even if you speak German or speak, whatever other language you're coming from, I don't know, whatever's in demand. English is very high in demand. You can go right away into an English teaching job. So look at the requirements for that. That's just one of many. Some of you have acquired skills over your life that are in demand and you can do consulting work remotely. Start to leverage that. Find some clients. Escape the rat race. Imagine living for $200, $300, $400 a month by the beach, eating for a couple dollars a day, out 3 meals. Imagine how much money you would save. If that's not enough to get you off your ass, dude, nothing will be. The rest will just sit there making excuses anonymously in the comment section about why they can't achieve this, why it's not for them, why all this is a scam, why, externalizing all their problems. Those will be the ones that watch. The others make it happen. Expat. English Brit now lives in Colombia, also Ukraine, Uzbekistan, Kazakhstan, world traveler. My advice, be healthy, work out, look smart, clean, smell nice, be polite, don't be rude, don't be cheap, be cool. It's that simple. Puts 80% of men out of business. You see? There it is. Let me know what you guys think. See you on the next one.